So I put myself in hospital for 2 weeks. This is how it went. So we all know that video of me crashing and screaming like a little bitch. Yeah, that one. So this is pretty much the aftermath of the events of that day. So pretty much after the crash and after we finished putting on a show, the guys out at Goulburn Track or Goulburn MX, they seen me on the ground, so they got the mule up here. They came pick me up and they chucked me in the side of that thing. I had to have the door open. The leg was hanging out there because couldn't really put it down. It was a bit sideways. So yeah, we drove all the way down back to the car. Around that time, we kind of calmed down a bit. We're driving back down through the car park and had my leg poking out the side of the little mule. So as we're going past a few guys, like they kind of gave me a few funny looks. Like we're driving past and they're just like, once they saw the leg, and I was just looking at them going, just being a dick, or being a bit of a dickhead. And yeah, we got back to the car. Bike was brought back down. Was kind of sitting there. The guys at the track were kind of deciding if we should get an ambo here, which the hospital was like 5 minutes away. So we kind of told us like, no, it's all good. Kind of hopped myself up into my old boy's van and just pretty much headed straight to the hospital. So once we got there, they were all right, but they weren't pretty. They weren't on the ball, I'd say. So yeah, we got in there. I was love behind the counter. She was all right. Took her a bit to kind of write the names down and get all the details and whatnot. And I'm just sitting there in the wheelchair, leg off the side playing bloody Angry Birds. So while I was getting all sorted out, about 10 minutes passed, and then we were into that little side room. I can't remember what it's called, where the doctors, they assess you or whatever. So we're in there. Old mate's looking over my leg. He's just like, yeah, no, well, you wanna try and take the boot off? And I was looking at him like, don't think that's gonna happen. So yeah, he's just like, oh yeah, no, yeah, we'll have to get a doctor to look at it. And I'm like, mate, it's bloody sideways. What are you talking about? We don't need no doctors to look at it. You can't even see it. My foot was that way and my leg was straight. What are you talking about? Anyway, we leave that little room. We go back out. We wait. I got sick of waiting. So Dad goes to the van. He has a pair of snips on him. And I'm like, just give him here. And I just start hacking away at my boot. And I'm chopping it off. I took it off to the point where it was just like a shoe, pretty much. I didn't want to go any further because if I did, I could feel the foot just like flopping to like either side. So we kind of stopped there. And then we're back in and then waited for about another half an hour, and then the pain started to really kick in. And then doctors came out and say, yep, Lockie, all right, off we went. We went into this room and they laid me down on a bed and he's like, oh, yeah, we'll give you the green whistle. I haven't had the green whistle ever. And that thing was sick. I love that. Going with this lovely lady. She's pumped me full of drugs. I don't know what's going to happen.
You're going to get some better ones, trust me.
Oh, sick. But we need it for that. It's broken. I know it's different for a few people, but my experience on that one, it just made me feel so pissed. Like I just felt like I had like 10 schooners and I was just gone. So that was great. And yeah, they had me on that for about 20 minutes, half an hour, and then they came in and they were assessing it a bit. They're like, all right, we're gonna have to sedate you a little bit, and they gave me some pretty good drugs. So I was knocked out a bit, but I could still I didn't know what the hell was going on, but I could still feel pretty much everything they were doing. So I was just like gone, and they were just yanking on my leg, and I was thinking, this doesn't feel good, but I don't know what the hell's going on. So that was fun. And then I came back and I was just looking at my leg. I was like, all right, sweet, she's back. They chucked a cast on it, and then pretty much off to the hospital, like off to the hospital beds. They chucked me in a room, and the forever long stay begins. So about, what was it? A couple of hours go by. And the doctors come in, they put a little hole in the front of the cast, and they're checking it out and whatnot. And they were planning on doing the surgery today, that day, but the swelling was a bit too bad, so they delayed it a little bit, and then delayed it some more. And then the doctor's like, yeah, no, we're not going to do it today because pretty much I'm tired and I want to go home. I was like, all right, sweet. So they tried to organise transport from Goulburn Hospital to Hawkesbury District Hospital, and that was just a nightmare. So they ended up coming to an agreement of we'll just jump back in the van and head back to Hawkesbury. So jumped in old boy's van and just laid there for the whole duration, head back to Hawkesbury. Got there about 8 o'clock at night, and just in time just to get in, get a room, and then try and get some sleep. But that didn't really work, because it was just, I was in quite a bit of pain. And by that time they did give me a few painkillers, but pretty much it was Panadol, so that wasn't very good. But yeah, so we got to Hawkesbury, slept bugger all that night, and was up the next morning, had the doctors come in, and they were telling us, all right, well, we're going to have to wait till the next 2 days, check the swelling. Next 2 days came, and they're like, yeah, nah, it's still too swollen, so we can't do that. So that was a bit of a pain in the ass. But the worst part of waiting like day after day was the swelling was going down gradually, but with every movement in it, because it was clean breaks either side and then inside the knuckle of the ankle, I could feel the bones moving inside my ankle, and it was pretty shit. It didn't so much hurt dramatically. It was just fuck, pain in the ass, really. So yeah, having to deal with that, and then having to kind of slowly up the medication and painkillers or whatever, because it was starting to get to a point where it was getting real kind of a bit unbearable. So they started on, was it just some kind of your Panadols daily, and then they got some endones involved, and then it was select. I can't even remember what the next one was, but they had 2 different types of them going, and then they stopped the endone and then just keep giving me this other one, which was helping a little bit, but it was starting to get to a point later on the track, about day 5, day 6 of just waiting. It was getting to the point where I couldn't even get up to take a piss. So yeah, I had to pretty much get up as quick as I could and pretty much walk on the crutches with my leg like this, because it was just that much pressure in my leg. I just had to try and move as fast as I could. So I'd pretty much hop to the toilet, smash the door open, jump in, sit down on the toilet, sit and piss, and then quickly get back up and race back to the bed and pretty much dive onto it, because it was, I felt like my leg was just going to explode at that point. So having to go with that for the next couple of days, that wasn't fun. So anyway, we get to day, what was it? So about day 8, and the doctors come back in. They're like, all right, it's looking not too bad. We'll do it for the next day, which was when was it? Tuesday? I think it was on the Tuesday that we had the surgery done. And that sucked. The surgery itself, we got all prepped, ready, like done the all the procedures that you need to do to kind of get put under, blah blah blah. Done all that, and went into the room. They sedated me a bit. I went out pretty straightforward, but towards the end of the surgery, the IV stopped working, and I kind of woke up a bit early. So I woke up pretty much as they were finishing up, and by that time I just woke up, and the first thing I felt was just immense pain in my leg. Like, it was next level. Like, I know the initial break was shit, but this pain was just on another level. Like, I've never felt anything like that. So they quickly wheeled me into this room. I by this time they already chucked some painkillers and whatever in my arm. Oh, they swapped the IVs to my hand because this one was just shit. So they put that one in and then started putting more and more. Was it morphine or was it ketamine or something like that? They kept pumping it in, and I was still in so much pain. Like I could still talk to him, I could still see him, and then I kept telling him, I was like, this is really, really bad. Like it was excruciating. So they put more in, and it got to a point where I was kind of everything turned yellow, and I could still see something, like some person standing above me asking me questions, and I couldn't really think what I was saying. Like I couldn't register what was coming out of my mouth at that point, but I could still feel the pain. And then it got to the point where I kind of just went out. So by that time, I kind of was out a bit, so I calmed down, and then they chucked me in ICU just to put me in just like surveillance, like a bit of a surveillance period. So we went in there for a bit, and they kept checking me, and the pain was still substantially bad. So they tried put me on quite a few opioids. It was just the endones again and like 2 or 3 others, which at the start wasn't too bad, but then it just spiraled out of control. Like they were saying in some cases, in rare cases, that opioids actually have a negative effect, and it kind of doubles your pain from whatever you're feeling, and that is what was going on. So for the first day or two, it was just like I couldn't sleep, I couldn't move, like I was constantly in like agony with this foot, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. So they even got the doctors in from a surgery, or brought them in from theatre, just to see what the hell was going on with me. So he came in and he's like, all right, he was checking me over, checking this, that, and the other. They done some blood tests, and they figured out, it's like, all right, it's the opioids that are doing it. So they changed that up, and they put me on 3 other different ones, plus some blood thinners, and it slowed it right down to the point where I couldn't really feel it anymore, which was great. So they figured that out. And then it was then another bit of a waiting game to test out those from like 8 in the morning till 8 at night. That's when you take it. And it was pretty effective at that point. So they kept that up for a day or two, and it came to the point where the pain wasn't coming back. I could get up and walk around. I was doing this, that, and the other. But at the same time, I didn't have a cast on my leg, because in the whole, was getting the surgery done and whatnot, they had to put the cast on, but it was that much pressure in my leg, they had to cut it straight back off. So for those couple of days after, I was just had my leg sitting, like the cast was there, but it was just like plopped into it. So so by the time everything settled, all the painkillers were working, everything was good, they redone a cast again, and that's pretty much the cast that we got on today. So everything kind of was working good. We were on the road to getting out of there, and a few days passed, and by this time it was close to 2 weeks. I say 2 weeks, but it was like a couple days shy. But yeah, everything was going good. No more pain. Well, manageable pain. So we pretty much got discharged. They gave me prescriptions for medications to keep it going for the next 8 weeks. 2-week checkup to go back in, and this is pretty much where we're at now. Just limited to a house, doing bugger all, and just sitting here with a broken leg. So I hope you enjoyed that. That was just a bit of a rundown of how that all played out. But yeah,